You're listening to Jacksonville's Retirement Coach, and today we're diving into a topic that's shaking up the retirement planning world in 2025. If you've been told to follow the 4% rule, delay Social Security until 70, or that you absolutely need $1 million to retire, then this episode is for you. And here to help us unpack these retirement rules and decide which ones, if any, are worth breaking is our resident host, Adam Wolf, certified financial planner, CPA, and president of Wolf Retirement Navigation. You can learn more at wolfretirement.com or by calling 904-232-8760 right here in Jacksonville. Adam, always great to see you. You have just returned from completing the 29029. Talk to me a little bit about that, because I just heard about it and it sounds incredible.
Yeah, 29029 for clients that have been with me for a while. This is the annual event where we do two things. I'm the one who trains for it, and then I'm the one who does up to 29,000 feet of elevation. It's 36 hours to complete it, out there with 300 other people. We pick up a different mountain every year. So there's the awesome physical and mental challenge that I do every year. But we also, we tie it to raising money for the Jacksonville Police Athletic League, which I'm also a board member of. And what we do with Jack's Pal, we raise money for the West Side Center, which are the kids over there, the after school program, so they have a safe place to go and they can finish their homework and, get some dinner and some snacks, and then also the money towards the extracurricular activities, the sporting activities, so kids can have a safe place and a great place to learn and play, and then also get introduced to law enforcement here in Duval County early, so they're familiar and comfortable with law enforcement over time as they grow up. So it's a really cool program. It's one of the oldest police athletic leagues in the country and one of the largest. So it was a couple weeks ago when I finished this thing out in Mont Tremblant, Canada. It kicked my what, like all do mentally. It was the toughest, Alyssa. It was the toughest one mentally I've done, because we had a thunderstorm late that night. It's the first day, lightning, winds, rain. They closed the course for a couple hours. And the next morning when I woke up after 6 hours of sleep, my stomach was churned up. So I finished it with about an hour to spare, which was wonderful, but I did it. And, I won't be going back to Mont Tremblant anytime soon. I can tell you that.
You check that bucket list. It's done. We don't need to do it again.
It's done.
At what point in the climb does it switch from physical to it's a mental battle? The body, you've just accepted that this is what we're doing, but how many laps, I guess that's what you call it, or ascents, how many ascents into it does it switch from physical to mental?
Yeah, this one was 15 ascents to get to 29,000 feet. So it was about 1.7 miles up and about 2,000 feet of elevation.
Wow.
And so the mental piece is you knock out the physical stuff training, because they come up with they have a pretty good training program. And I've been doing this long enough to know sort of what to expect and how to get your body prepared. And then your mind, that's taking time. Every one I do makes me tougher and tougher mentally. But there are times, it's usually the first year on the adrenaline, the first couple of ascents, and usually by ascent 4, and that's about 9 hours in. When you sit down and grab some lunch, it is like, do I want to go back out there? Can I hang out a little bit longer?
I've done it. So, I know what it's like up there. Yep. I don't need to do it again.
Yep. And then also, if some people go straight through, but like I like to get some sleep to rest my body and my mind for about 4 or 5 hours every night. And then waking up, and then, oh my goodness, now we got to go again and get the rest of them in. So That was the challenging part for this one, was hiking through that thunderstorm, and then how wet it was and cold. It was just, but we got through it. A lot of folks finished it, and it was a wonderful experience as always with that. So thanks for asking about it.
Of course. And it's such an incredible thing that you do. And I love that you tie it back to your community. And as a mom of a 10-year-old, I love to see that it involves youth. So congratulations on that. All right. Jumping into it, I recently read an article on MSN that challenged the 7 most common retirement, quote, rules of thumb that we've all heard for years. And Adam, I was curious to hear your thoughts if you're ready to dive into it. I want to know which of these rules we should use, which we should break. So rule number 1 was the 4% rule. What is it? How does it still apply? Does it still apply in today's financial climate?
Oh, the 4% rule. I face this all the time. It has caught traction over the last, I guess it's the history behind that one, mid-90s, the Journal of Financial Planning did an article by this a college professor who said, hey, 4% rule. I've done some statistics. I've done some regression analysis, and it seems about right. You should only take 4% out of your retirement assets every year to live off of, because if it's managed a certain way during good times and bad times, it should sustain, and you should have at least $1 left at the end of your life. So that's a lot of ifs, right? Right. I'm not a big believer in the 4% rule because it's all about how you design your retirement. Some people like to front load their retirement. We're going to be the healthiest we're ever going to be early in retirement. We're going to be the youngest we're ever going to be early in retirement. So we want to be able to, if we want to enjoy that money more during that retirement stage, it's going to take more to do it. So it may make sense to take more out early versus later. It also may make sense to take more out to delay Social Security to get a higher payout. So, which we'll talk about, but it all depends on your unique situation. The 4% rule, it's a great soundbite, and I'd hate for people to take 4% out a year with while they're earning 7% and leave a lot of money on the table to enjoy their retirement, especially early on.
Sure. And I imagine things like inflation and our longer lifespans are affecting that 4% rule as well.
True. Yeah. The longer lifespans do go into that. But hey, nothing's guaranteed. We want to live forever, but, we're going to be the healthiest and youngest today. Right. Both of us and all my clients as well. So we need to balance it between enjoying it and also having it for later on when we need it.
Sure. Yeah. My mom was only 74 when she passed. I think she intended and hoped that she'd live a lot longer and still be here for her grandkids, but she was gone at 74. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. Okay. Rule number 2, spend as little as possible. Is that even reasonable? Or are we just going to live poor? Is that the goal?
I got a bunch of people on my mind right now that client wise that they're laughing if they're listening to this, because my goal is to get them to spend their money. They've saved.
You've worked hard for it. Yeah.
Worked hard for it. Spend some more. You know who you are out there. So it's about balancing the need from going, most clients that I work with, most friends that I have, didn't get to this point to retire safely by being loose with their money. They paid themselves first. They delayed gratification. They delayed trips. They took care of other people, maybe the kids, maybe a parent. Like that's what they did. And now you can't make a shift from not spending to spending overnight. So it takes baby steps and talking through and having a plan in place that gives more confidence to be able to live within your new means, which is your retirement means.
And I think, like you said, if you have that plan and you sort of see how it's going to play out over time, and you know that you have, this is a backup and this income source, and it's not just a one size fits all, but it's unique to your situation, that goes a long way in making someone feel a lot more confident and being able to write that first check or go on that cruise. If they need help, I can help them on a cruise. I love my cruises.
You won't catch me on a boat anytime soon. That's just me. So unless I'm fishing or something.
Fair. Okay. Rule number 3, you mentioned it briefly, but delaying Social Security until 70 we hear this a lot. Is it a rule we follow? Do we break it? Is it unique to everybody's situation?
It makes sense for some, for people who have significant portfolios with long-term longevity on both sides of the family, very, very strong health-wise. Mm-hmm. It may make sense to defer it. The math makes sense because every year you defer it past full retirement age, they're going to pay you 8% more. So your payment is going to be increased by 8% more. So that's some significant increases over time. Sure. The other side of it is you can take it as early as 62. And so it really depends on your unique situation when you retire, how much stress, if you decide to defer Social Security, how much stress is that going to put and pressure is that going to put on your portfolio? Because you may need to take out more from the portfolio while you defer the Social Security. It comes down to a lot of my clients, we want to do Roth conversions. If we're taking Social Security, that's more income, so that may increase the cost of the Roth conversion. So it all depends on your unique situation. Most people, it makes sense to take it between 65, which is the Medicare age, and full retirement age, which for most people, it's 66 in a bunch of months, or 67 now for a lot of folks. And then there are categories of people who need to defer it to 70. And so that is a conversation we have with clients every single day.
And as a side note, I feel like I need my own personal podcast on talking about whether Social Security will even be there in 20-something years when I get there. So that may be a topic for another conversation, specifically for my questions, Adam.
That's me too. So I'm paying it a lot. So I like to just say you're welcome to your names for my clients that joke with me about that. Say, pay the Social Security in, Adam. So, but
we're doing our part.
Enjoy. Thanks for doing your part. And so the big thing is in 2032, it used to be 2033, but with the new OBBA Act, it went back to 32. That's when Social Security won't have enough in revenue to pay out the benefits. It's a discount at about 23%. So hopefully, and my guess is the government's going to be forced to do something and not reduce benefits for people receiving them. They may means test it, meaning if you have a lot of income, they may cut it a little bit. But we can't really worry about that until the government does it. So, and we also want to have other sources. It doesn't want to be your only source of income, and that's the goal of planning and for retirement. So if for some reason it is cut a little bit, it's not going to affect your livelihood significantly.
Right. You can't build a table just on one leg.
That's right.
Okay. Rule number 4, you need $1 million to retire.
That is not correct. A lot of people do, but a lot of people don't. And think about it. So many people have pensions. Those pensions, they may have pensions, but not a lot of retirement savings. Those pensions are guaranteed income sources, which means that you do not need to have more savings. Some folks, it's based on their budget and based on it. If you have Social Security, or let's say you're married, there's 2 Social Securities, there's no pension, and there's a reasonable withdrawal or a guaranteed income stream on the savings, you might only need $400,000 or $500,000, depending on your spending. You might need a couple $100,000. I mean, the more the better to be able to have flexibility, obviously. But it's a rule of thumb. It's put out there for eyeballs and clicks, and I don't think everybody needs it. Now, a lot of people do. And the more the better. But yeah, so it comes down to your unique situation and your budget and your spending.
And speaking of spending, that leads us into rule number 5, which is you must pay off your mortgage. Are there any financial advantages to keeping a mortgage in retirement, or should it be gone by the time we say we're retiring?
Yeah, I mean, being debt-free is a wonderful feeling for many people. So having that mortgage paid off, it's totally doable. A lot of times it's one of the goals before retiring is to get it paid off. A lot of times we structure it to get it paid off within the first couple of years to 5 years of retirement without upsetting the tax horse, So
right.
So it comes down to the beauty. The non-math is not having debt, because if you have your mortgage paid off, you don't have any credit card debt. Right. You don't have any car loans. You don't have any other debt. But the mortgage payoff is huge. Math, it depends on your interest rate. So we run the math behind it too. If you have a higher interest rate, it makes sense to pay it down. If you have one of these great 2 to 3% mortgage rates we got 3 or 4 years ago, it makes more sense to pay it down slowly. Sure. So it all depends. But in general, not having debt is a wonderful thing that makes our financial lives in retirement better.
How do you help retirees weigh the emotional pieces of retirement against the financial? Like, how do you talk a client through that? Yeah,
it's all about options. First and foremost, I'm a math person. We got to talk about the math. So the math has to math. Yeah, numbers can be our friends. We like the math reasoning behind it. If it costs us less, it's going to be better. If we can grow our money more, it's going to be better. But the non-math is equally important for peace of mind. Not having a mortgage on your back that you've been paying on for many, many decades is huge. It's flexibility, it's freedom, and not having a mortgage is cash flow because you don't have that principal and interest going out the door anymore. Now there's still real estate taxes and insurance, which everybody here in Florida is just, we're seeing the hell that's come with all the increases on that.
Right.
But having that flexibility is key.
All right. Rule number 6, you should avoid annuities. First of all, for those who don't know, what exactly is an annuity and why do they get such a bad reputation?
Yeah. I mean, many of my clients do have annuities. They go into our plan. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly of annuities, just like any other financial or insurance-based product. We do not use the annuities that have excessive fees. We do not use annuities that are variable in nature, that are tied up and down to the stock market. We use fixed and fixed indexed annuities that are 100% principally protected, backed by the claims paying ability of the insurance company. So with some upside potential based on current interest rates and or options on the S&P 500 or other indexes that we chosen for our clients. Annuities, we can have a whole other session on annuities, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Sure.
But most of our annuities that we utilize for folks is for risk reduction in their portfolio. At times, we will use it for guaranteed income to never run out of an income stream. But there's a price for that. So we have to weigh that. It's another tool that we use alongside of our ETFs, alongside of our managed portfolios, alongside of clients having safe money in the banks and the credit unions. It's another tool to reduce risk, and that's why we use them.
That's why it's another reminder that diversification is so important. We're not building that one-legged table. We want to have lots of legs on our table. Okay, rule number 7 we touched upon, but it's the final rule, which is you must retire at 65. I know my mother-in-law is going to tune in closely to this because she's, God forbid, don't listen, Mom, because I'm mentioning it, but she's closing in on the age. So, and she wants to know, what are the benefits of working longer? Should she jump on the boat at 65 or hang on for a couple more years?
Oh man, I've had every age, like people retiring at every age. I've had folks go out at 55. My father, he retired at 60, and thank goodness he did, because he had a great 15 years of retirement before he passed last year. So he, when we look at this stuff, there's rule of thumb, 65. A lot of people choose that because it is Medicare age. And what happens at Medicare age are costs of health insurance become reasonable again. Leaving prior to 65, your employer, it's very expensive. It can be very expensive to get health insurance. So retiring early, a lot of times when we crunch the numbers, it makes sense to do it. And when I say early, prior to 65, it could be for some people as early as 55. It could be 59. It could be 62. It depends on when people are financially ready. That's why we're here. Why we're here to crunch the numbers and to analyze it all and put portfolios together that sustain it over time. But it's also the non-financial, the emotional. Do I have something to retire to? What am I going to be doing in retirement? Is it volunteering? Is it part-time work? Am I ready to not have my career anymore? And so a lot of those questions can be decided. They become easier to answer once you nail down, is it financially feasible? So it takes some pressure off, and it's not a retirement. It's when am I financially free? Right. When do I not have to work anymore? When do I need to sell the business? Doesn't mean I will. It just means I can. And that's half the battle.
And for everybody, it's a different threshold and a different definition of what it means to be successful in retirement, which is why it's so important to have somebody that you can sit down and have these conversations with. And if today's episode sparked a conversation or sparked an idea and you want to have a conversation, Adam, how can people get in touch with you?
You give us a call here. I don't know by the time you call if Andrea's going to be back. For the clients who wanted to ask about Andrea, she has a beautiful baby named Mia now, her and Malcolm. And Mama's doing great and baby's doing great. And other than Aria, the older sister, who's a little jealous, everybody's doing great. So usually people call in, they speak to Andrea, but we have Harley at the front desk who's taking calls, and also Robin. So just give us a buzz to get on my calendar, and we can talk at that point.
And you can always check out wolfretirement.com or call, as Adam said, 904-232-8760. If this episode was something that you wish to share, be sure to send it to a friend. They may be wondering and having these conversations about these 7 rules and not knowing which ones they need to follow. So, Adam, we thank you for that. Be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And before we go, I know that you have an important date coming up in October on the 8th. And just tell us what's going on the 8th.
Yes. So we are having our post 29029 Everesting Jack's Pal fundraiser party, which is the easiest part of this whole thing. I do all the hard part. I tell everybody, I do all the hard part. All you have to do is donate and come to the party. Give us a call. Get on the guest list. It's a family and guest friendly event too, so you can invite your family members, invite your friends, anybody that may be of service for us and for us to help. That's what we're here for. It's going to be at Wicked Ale and or Wicked Brewery. I think that's the name. But the 8th of October, we're going to be out there. We'd love to have you too.
That sounds like a great time. And man, I wish Jacksonville wasn't quite so far away. Adam, it was really good to talk with you today. As always, thank you so much for all of your insights.
Investment advisory services offered through Coil Capital LLC, a registered investment advisor. Wolf Retirement Navigation LLC and Coil Capital LLC are not affiliated. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. No investment strategy can guarantee a profit or protect against loss in periods of declining values. Opinions expressed are subject to change without notice and are not intended as investment advice or to predict future performance. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Consult your financial professional before making any investment decision. This information is designed to provide general information on the subjects covered. It is not, however, intended to provide specific legal or tax advice and cannot be used to avoid tax penalties or to promote, market, or recommend any tax plan or arrangement. Please note that Wolf Retirement Navigation LLC and its affiliates do not give legal or tax advice. You are encouraged to consult your tax advisor or attorney. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurer. Any references to protection or benefits or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products or services. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company and not offered by Coil Capital LLC. Florida Insurance License Number W016816.